Hey, we are live at the Tap Studio with the Fitness on Tap podcast, where laziness is loathed, tenacity is king, and pursuing excellence has filled the hearts of former couch potatoes. My name's Tom, and we'll be joined with Stacey here in a second, discussing the 10 different fitness skills or just different physical abilities that every human should have. Okay, these are things in different aspects that we should all work on to ensuring that we don't get injured, to ensuring that we can do everything in everyday life, and every human should focus on all of their different weaknesses, not just eliciting and focusing on their strengths. We also discuss the different sports that are around and what aspects of them they're lacking, and then also what sports they really focus on every different fitness skill. So look forward to that in today's podcast, and make sure to like and subscribe for any future content, guys.
We are here to love others first, above ourselves. We find joy in honing and sharpening ourselves in all aspects of life. Our nutrition, fitness, mindset, and habits, in order to show with actions, not just words, our utmost respect, love, and devotion. We are the blade, the tool used to help others without fail.
How you doing today?
Doing well, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Yeah. Kind of had a later night than I anticipated, but we're here.
Yeah, it's funny because now I actually get here earlier to work out before, and so I try to get to bed way earlier than I used to on Fridays. And Fridays used to be I can stay up till 10 p.m. And now I'm I need to go to bed at 8. And so it's funny because what was it? Because we started doing 7 a.m. times on Saturday, 3 weeks ago?
Something like that.
And the first week I came, and I was literally before the sunrise, and as I started the workout, the sunrise was coming up. And I can't tell you the amount of, most people would be this is stupid, why am I up? But the whole time I'm telling myself, I'm dude, you have way more work ethic than 99% of people in the world right now.
Yeah.
There's no one up on Saturday at this hour.
Right.
And as the sun's coming up, as I'm doing my workout, I just felt so rewarded and so refreshed from just doing the hard work,
yeah.
You know? And trust me when I say, it sucked getting up that early. It was really difficult. But the moment that I started that workout and the sun was coming up, I was it's all worth it.
Yeah.
And I tell people that all the time too, that fitness never gets easier. It will always be hard to start. It'll always be hard to do it, at least if you're progressing, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit today. But anyways,
sure.
Long story.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about components of fitness. There's 10 of them that we'll cover.
Boom. Well, depends on which school of thought you believe in.
Sure. In
the CrossFit community, there's 10 of them. And actually, they stole it from the Dynamax company. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, it's actually, when you look at it online, it's actually below in the credits type of thing. That it was originally from Dynamax Med Balls.
Okay.
Which, yeah. And then I've taken that personally, and I've taken what they have, and then I've reworded, added a few things to kind of a 10 components that I have in the gym, and then given it a few examples, and then Stacey and I are just looking at different workouts that fit in each category.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll cover all that.
Yeah.
So first, fitness. You think you have your marathon runner, who's obviously super good at running, and that's super endurance. And then you kind of look at the other end of that spectrum, and you have your weightlifters, who are super strength. But the runner might not be super strong, and the weightlifter might not have a lot of endurance to be able to go run a marathon. So we're going to look at kind of how to bridge that gap, if you wanted to, put in the work to do that, and what overall fitness should look like. Because you can have someone really fit in endurance and really fit in weightlifting, but not in both of those categories, so kind of that overall, right, which is where the 10 components fit in. So the first one's cardiovascular endurance. So tell us a little about what that is and how you might measure that for yourself.
So usually what I tell people with cardiovascular endurance is just basically like how far can you go without stopping? It's just like as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, can you get on a row machine? Can you go run? Can you bike for an hour to an indefinite amount of time?
Yeah.
And there's no time component. There's no like pacing. It's just can you go?
So hop on a bike or go run and see how far you can
Yeah,
go.
and a lot of people like struggle with this for like running, for example. They tend to like walk, jog type of thing.
Sure.
So can you just run for X amount of time, or can you even walk, for X amount of time? Both take endurance, or like a hike, things like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I feel like most people understand endurance. They don't usually understand stamina, which
Sure.
is our next one,
the
right?
next one, yep.
Yeah, so stamina, what I would refer to as what actually most people are looking for. From fitness, from life, from things like that. They're actually looking to keep up a certain level of work capacity in a certain amount of time. Does that make sense? So like running 400-meter repeats on like a time.
Sure.
Or like running a marathon and I'm trying to run a 6-minute pace. That's stamina.
Okay.
And we're going to be real clear right now, neither of us probably is ever doing that.
Nope, no desire
My best mile was last year and was a 6:52, and that was like a lifetime achievement for me. So to like even think about running 6-minute miles for 26 miles
Yeah.
is just crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I've heard of that one as like, stamina is your muscle endurance. Where
Yeah, so
cardio is
I would
kinda
say
more
it's
along.
correct. Yeah, like how long can you sustain a certain level of activity at a certain level of intensity? And I would say that's the reason I say that's what most people are looking for, because I would say 90% of people that come in to meet with me and you, myself, we all want more energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all want to be able to like keep going. We want to be like the Energizer, like Bunny,
Sure.
and we want to be able to do certain things. And I think that endurance like is somewhat that, but like if you have endurance, you're still gonna have to like take breaks, like doing like yard work, like because they don't transfer unless you have endurance doing yard or like stamina doing yard work. So really, it's like how long can your muscles continually put out the same output of intensity? And like for example, like if I'm doing like 400-meter repeats on like a 4-minute clock and I'm trying to run sub 2 minutes, which would be very doable for most of my clients, but some of them would, like, let's say we did 8 400-meter repeats, 2 miles. I guarantee most of my clients 4 rounds in would be like 2:30s, 3 minutes. We get to that 8th round and they're barely making it. Somewhat because of volume, but that's a good way to like put it of like, can you keep the same tempo every single time?
Sure.
We did a workout this week that was 8 rounds of a 20-calorie row and then a 200-meter run. And I was able to keep within like 7 seconds. Actually, no, was it 5 seconds? Like per round. It was actually my first round that I was like 3 seconds out of all the others. So I was able to keep it within a 1 to 2 second.
Yeah.
And that's stamina.
Yeah.
Being able to keep your pace exact.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of these, like as we talk about them, you can't, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of them kind of cross over a little bit. Like for like with the stamina, and we're talking about doing 400s.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to need a little bit of cardiovascular endurance, I think, too, on top of that to keep up your stamina. But
yeah, I think that that's why I say I think people are actually really shooting for stamina.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people come in and they're like, I want to work on my cardio. And I'm like, is it really that? Because a lot of people come in and they can, like, I can go run a mile. It takes me 13 minutes. And I'm like, you're not running an entire mile. You're walking and jogging that then. Like, you don't run a 13-minute mile.
I run like 10-minute miles.
Like if you're running a 10-minute, okay, sub 10, but
Maybe.
if you're running more than that, it's like you're walking some of that.
Sure.
Like, unless you're like barely going past a walk pace.
Yeah.
you know.
Although this was like when I did triathlons.
Sure.
So that was, your run is your last leg. And
Sure.
so my run was always just try to be consistent and get through it. But anyway.
Yeah.
So the third one is strength. Again, I feel like this is something people think is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, strength I think is pretty easy. Like, how heavy can you lift? Sheer strength would be like just one rep, pick it up as heavy as you can. So thinking more like the power lifts, the back squat, the deadlifts, the bench press would probably be the closest, like as far as powerlifting. But strict press, a lot of other movements that are more the grind movements, that really you can go slow, you can go fast, you can still keep form either way. Those are, I would say, the biggest strength movements overall.
Love strength.
I do love strength too. Yep, I actually pressed the 44 kilo kettlebell yesterday.
Nice.
And the 48 is the beast. And I trained for I think I trained for 3 years to press that. That's why I always tell my clients that strength is a skill.
Oh, for sure.
Once you've gained it, it's really hard to lose that. But gaining it is really freaking hard. Like endurance, you can gain that. For a lot of people, you can gain endurance within 4 weeks or less, if you work hard. Yeah. But strength, on the other hand, you gotta put in years to get that.
Yeah, consistency.
Yep.
Fourth one's flexibility.
Yeah, so I actually like to change that one or / mobility, because I prefer to talk about range of movement through activation, and that would be more what I would refer to as mobility. Flexibility is great, and it's necessary, but I prefer to talk more about mobility. And again, I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Can you touch your toes?
Sure.
And there are certain prerequisites, like literally I would say 50% of my men that come in can't touch their toes, and just so we're clear, that's a bad thing, okay? Like, you should be able to put your shoes on for the rest of your life, okay? And not being able to touch your toes, it's eventually going to get so bad that you're going to have to get like Velcro shoes and a little reachy thingy. And that's, so I think that what I'm getting at is, I think flexibility and mobility is crucial. When it comes to the functional movement system, it's actually the base. And I think that if you don't have that, your foundation is super shaky, super poor. And I think that, you're a perfect example for that, of like, you're amazing in flexibility in a lot of areas, but you have one inflexibility.
Yep. And
what does it do? Causes injuries and some pain and some aches. And I'm the same way, except just my entire body. So if you want to be pain-free, ache-free, which all of the people that come in and see me, that's one of their goals as well. So I really do think that, first comes mobility and flexibility, being able to touch your toes, being able to do an overhead squat, being able to do overhead movements with good range of motion, and not have a poor thoracic mobility.
I feel like ankle mobility is a big one.
Huge, yeah. I think that a lot of people run so much and don't work on mobility that I get so many people where their ankles are just bricks. Yeah. Just freaking, like, they're literally like logging around bricks. But we as Americans, shove our feet in feet coffins all the time.
Yep.
And expect to have great feet and great ankles. And it's like, maybe we should walk around barefoot a little bit more often. I was actually watching a YouTuber this week that did an exceptional job at the research, the studies, explaining it, breaking it down, that I'm going to add to our 30-day habit list.
Nice.
Because, and he has multiple videos, and I was literally like, I don't need to make a video now. You did it so perfect.
I found one.
I don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
So
this is kind of on topic, but a little side note. But I've heard that walking around barefoot, especially like in the grass and in the dirt, because your feet have the biggest pores on your body.
Mm-hmm.
So then you actually get a lot of like minerals and stuff like that from the ground that are good for you. I don't know if you've heard that before.
Oh, I've actually heard that you get electrical energy from the earth.
Yeah. So like there's the stuff earth, that you actually like get from the earth when you walk around barefoot in it.
Yeah, I've literally heard that you get magnetic energy from the earth by walking around barefoot. You know?
It's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, us Americans have so many things that we need to stop doing.
Yeah.
so many
we
things.
walk around barefoot a lot in the summer, but half the time we're on concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, so that's not as helpful, but
Yeah.
anyway. So the fifth one's power.
Power.
So how fast can you move a load, right?
Yeah, the biggest way that I would say that would be just more talking. I would say like how quickly can you pick something up and how fast can you move a load or an object, and really because this is where strength gets a little muddy, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that power lifts kind of still fit into there, but it would be more for speed, not for just like slow, because we've all seen that 1,000-pound deadlift that just goes up so slow, and yeah, that's strength, but is it power? Like is he moving fast through that? So those are, I would say, the biggest differences there, and more working on speed at the same time as strength, and moving a load, if that makes sense. Yeah.
When I think of speed, and you're describing this, like I'm picturing like a clean or a snatch, where you have to like get under the bar quickly.
Correct.
In order to.
Yeah. So, and that's where I usually, when it comes to power, that's what I usually say is that I would more think of like Olympic lifts in this category. So I would put in the clean, the jerk, the snatch. How fast can you get something from point A to point B? And obviously the Olympic lifts are quicker.
Sure. Yeah.
Like they're ballistic, kettlebell swings, things like that are fast. And if you move them slowly, like I tell my clients this all the time, if you go slowly, you actually move less well.
Yeah.
And you do it more incorrectly. So it's like you don't want to slow those down too much unless it's zero load. That's why I was having a discussion with one of my clients this week. He was like, I just hate lifting the PVC. It's just so awkward and weird. And I'm like, it's awkward and weird because you don't know how to move the weight. And you're slowing it down. And so the issue is that you're slowing it down so you can actually understand it.
Yeah.
So it's more, we're slowing it down so much you can actually think. So you got to be able to move a PVC the same you would move 300 pounds.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
I remember working with a coach once, and he would not allow you to put weight on the bar until you could do it with just the bar. So a little bit of weight, but like have your form perfect with just the bar before you were allowed to put weight on it.
Sure. Yeah, I somewhat apply that, but at the same time, I think you have to like put a certain weight on the bar that you can't bicep curl anymore.
Yeah.
To teach some people.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I have so many people that come and bicep curl it clean, and I'm like, let's just put a weight that you can't just freaking bicep curl it and arc it away from your body, that you actually have to jump and catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people are afraid to do that. That's why I love bumper plates. Like if you miss it, just drop it.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. So, anyways.
So the sixth one is speed.
Yeah, so speed, I would. It's hard because stamina now and speed are like, well, what's the difference? Remember, stamina is over time. Speed is just one shot. Okay, so the way that I word that would be like, what's your 1 mile for time?
Sure.
What's your 2K row for time? Is it a sub 7 minute? Okay, you're not very speedy. Okay, or like, what's a 100 meter dash? I would say 100 meter dash would be more in line. Stamina, once you're getting over 800 meters for things, it's like, we're blurring the lines now between stamina.
Yeah.
Because really, a mile run is 16 100 meter repeats, whereas 100 meter dash, it's like 425 meter repeats, so it's, I would say anything over 800 meters for running is kind of blurring the lines into more endurance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But anything, just how freaking fast can you move, and that is something that I think blurs into the line of power in like the ballistic movements that we were just talking about, because I have a lot of clients that cannot move at the speed under the bar that they need to, and we have to teach them how to fire, how to go, and teach them that new level of type 2 fibers and fast twitch and things like that.
So number 7's agility.
So that one, you don't think about this very often, but basically just how fast can you move from one direction to another, and the way that or how fast can I move from this movement to another movement would be the easiest way. So like a 50-meter shuttle, like they do in like the NFL Combine, is a perfect example. It's not moving from one movement to the other, but it is moving directions.
Sure.
The way that we practice that in workouts here, how fast can I go from doing pull-ups into doing burpees? How fast can I go from doing burpees into doing cleans? Does it take me 30 seconds to pick up the bar? Or does it take me 10 seconds or 5 seconds or 3 seconds? Mm-hmm. And just so we're clear, transition times in workouts with the workouts that we do is probably the biggest reason why people suck for time. Okay, like they just like they take too much like breath, they go get a water break, they go get some chalk, and it's like, did you really need the water? It's a 7-minute workout. You don't drink water for 7 hours in the day, and you need water in a 7-minute workout. Like I have so many clients that are like, I just forget my water bottle and for hours. But when they're in the gym in a 7-minute workout, they have to take a drink.
It's because they didn't drink those 7 hours.
No, it's a lot of other things. It's the fact that they're like, this really sucks. My brain is telling me to stop. I'm gonna get some water. It's right here. Tom won't yell at me for a drink of water. And there are plenty of workouts that it's like, you didn't need that.
I've definitely been guilty of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's been consciously like, I want a break. So
it's crazy how unconscious it is. Yeah. You know, like, oh, I need some chalk. Or, oh, I need to go over here and do this. Oh, the clip needs fixed.
Yeah.
You know, oh, my shoes are not quite tight enough.
I did forget my water bottle the other day, and I left it out in the car, but I survived.
We'll call that your hell day, right?
Yeah.
You know?
All right, so the number 8 is coordination.
Yeah, so I would say that's more in line with like movements. So like wall balls, jump rope, box jumps would be movements. But basically like, even under fatigue, are you still coordinated? Can you stand on one foot? And well, no, that's balance. Coordination would be more. Yeah, we'll get to that one. But yeah, being able to coordinate multiple things at once.
Yeah. I always thought of myself as like being horribly coordinated. Like if there's a sport that involves a ball, I've learned to avoid that sport.
But that's probably just your hand-eye coordination with throwing.
Sure.
Because you're good at wall balls, right?
But then I am listening to all these other examples more related to like CrossFit stuff, and I'm like, well, I could do wall balls pretty good. The other day I did rep myself quite a few times, but like I can do those, and I'm not back to double unders, but I can do single unders pretty consistently. And so I think my coordination's better than I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's just how long have you spent on that skill.
Yeah.
Because coordination, there's so many things that require coordination.
Just the hand-eye stuff, I'm not so good at.
Yeah, and so that's one of those where it's probably something coming at you, and I would say more fear. Because I would say the number one thing that keeps people from like doing a box jump is just all-out fear.
Yeah.
Like they're just terrified.
Sure.
Of scraping their shins.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's really the worst thing that can happen? You scrape your shins and you're sore for a week? I mean, just get your feet higher.
Yeah.
Like just get on the box,
So balance, that's number 9.
Like, I mean, the best would be like a balance beam, We actually have one for Owen that we purchased.
Nice.
Because he was like walking on, was it books? And the books would like slip and stuff. And I was like, we're going to order him one with the business account and write it off. And we did. And I've yet to like bring it here. But I do want to like eventually teach or coach kids classes as well. So balance beam, can you stay on, balanced on one foot, on a squishy pad or something that's really, really small? Unilateral movements would probably be the best way when it comes to like workout wise. When I say unilateral, meaning one leg, or things like lunges, Bulgarian split squats, one arm pressing, Can you stay balanced on both sides, equal, without, shifting, changing, things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Here's my fun fact. I broke my toe on a balance beam once.
Did you really?
I did.
Because you jumped and twisted or something?
It was when I was in gymnastics, and
Okay.
I kicked the balance beam.
Okay.
And shattered my toe.
Oh. So you're angry?
No, more just that my coach, she didn't believe me, so she made me go run laps. So I broke my toe, didn't know it, didn't actually know I broke it, but then went and ran laps. Because I was complaining that it hurt.
So, a funny story, I think I broke one of my toes too. I don't remember doing what. But I ran track for 2 weeks with a broken toe.
It's amazing what you can...
Yeah, like a toe, it's amazing how when you have shoes, it's not as big of an issue. I bet if you were to run barefoot, it'd be a really big issue.
Well, we were barefoot in gymnastics.
But it was a really big issue.
Yeah, it was.
You were complaining the whole time.
I did.
Yeah.
My coach didn't like it.
Fun fact about me, I guess I broke my leg or something. What did I break? My ankle? I don't remember. But I broke something, and we actually went to camp.
Okay.
Or maybe it was on camp that I broke it. And my mom forced me to do hikes and all this stuff because she went to the doctor, got an x-ray. So it wasn't anything bad with my mom. She went and got it x-rayed and got it taken, he's really complaining. And there was nothing wrong with it. So she's like, suck it up, Tom. Let's go. And we're doing hikes and we're out on a wilderness camp. Mm-hmm. And the doctor calls her a day or two later and was like, oh, I actually found a break. He broke his leg or something like that. And so the rest of the time at camp, I just laid in bed, basically,
Yikes.
So, but my mom felt awful. It's whatever, you live and learn.
Yeah, that's funny. So the last one's accuracy.
Accuracy, that one's a hard one, when it comes to, workout stuff. Because I would say the best thing would be, shooting a gun, archery, things like that. But I would say wall balls apply in there a little bit, jump rope a little bit, things like that a little bit, but it's I don't know, it's blurring the lines a little bit between the coordination and the accuracy a little bit. I would say it's really I don't know, shooting a gun is probably the most accurate thing you could do for something like that.
I've heard for CrossFit, maybe a snatch.
Yeah.
Because you have to be
so accurate and precise with where the bar, where things are.
Yeah.
Clean is a little bit less.
But
you
I
can,
feel like a
you
lot
can,
of those target.
But that also depends on load as well. How high percentage are you? If you're 90% plus, yeah, you're gonna have to be pretty freaking accurate.
I think they said the one I heard was 95%.
Yeah,
or
you
higher.
got to be right on it because if that bar is 1 inch forward or 1 inch back,
You're gonna lose it.
you're gonna lose that bar because you can't control it.
Yeah.
And that's going back to what I just explained about teaching a person how to clean and how to do those things and letting them work more than the PVC.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just flat out it's gonna look ugly with the PVC and they just are gonna move really poorly until you just freaking put a weight on the bar that they can't bicep curl.
Right.
Or they get too fatigued because they're bicep curling and their biceps shut off and then now it's, oh, the clean got really good.
Yeah.
Or snatch or whatever.
Sure. So, all right, so those are the 10. Can you think of sports that encompass those 10 components well?
Yeah, so I mean, if we're just talking about normal sports, I'll use quotations with that. Because obviously there is one sport that the purpose is to encompass all 10, and that would be CrossFit. If we're talking about quote-unquote normal sports, I would say that gymnastics almost does, wrestling almost does, depending on what type of wrestling. Greco-Roman would probably be a little bit more because there's throws, jiu-jitsu, so I would say ultimate fighting is probably one, along with kind of those other wrestling, other stuff, gymnastics, almost, they just never lift a weight. And so unfortunately they miss out on the sheer strength category.
Sure.
And a lot of people would argue with me that, well, gymnasts are really strong. I've trained some people that have really good body weight mechanics and are the perfect gymnastic body, and I've even trained some gymnasts. You throw them under a bar or load, and they crumble like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They have good body weight strength.
They have great body weight strength, but their body weighs 110 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the perfect gymnast, just an FYI. Like, them to be 110 to 130 pounds
Yeah.
and 5'2" or below.
Yeah.
And you put them under a bar, and yes, they can get better at it, because just so we're clear, a lot of CrossFitters that are super high level come from Olympic level sports training, things like that. You know, so like Matt Frazier actually was an Olympic lifter and got an injury, and that's why he started getting into CrossFit. And then like Katrin David's daughter was a super high level gymnast, and then got into CrossFit. You know, so it's like the background stories that you don't really know.
Yeah.
That they've actually been training since they're 2. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
Like so, but yeah, and so like I said, but when it comes to like wrestling as well, it's like, yeah, they do throws, they do some lifting, but they miss just so many components, so many what I would say functional movements. There are so many things that they still don't get because they're not trying to get quote unquote everything in.
I feel like, okay, I'm looking at, I have these written down, but what about swimmers? We lift, so I will say I was a swimmer.
Yeah.
We lifted, like, as part of our training.
Well, most people do, but if we're looking at the sport solely.
Sure.
So, because now you're getting into basically, you're defining CrossFit. Right? Because you don't need to lift to be a good swimmer. Will it help you? Yes. Okay, and that's why I think sport-specific training is garbage. That's why I think that you should leave the weight room, the workouts at the weight room and the workouts, and you should work on your skill, your sport, at the skill and the sport. But we're just talking about if you were just to do that.
Yeah, just the swimming part. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So like if I was just to do the sport, will I be the fittest person on the planet? I think that's kind of what the question is, right?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think if you're a swimmer, you are the strongest person on the planet. No. I think that you have great endurance, you have great strength, there are plenty of things you do have, but you're totally missing 5 to 6 components.
Sure.
You know, like you're not really getting a ton of accuracy. You know, there's definitely coordination, but is there a lot? You know, so we could break it down more, but
yeah.
I don't think that we need to. But yeah, most people nowadays, when they're doing sports, do weightlift because they know the benefits. You know, I think that's why so many high-level like UFC fighters are doing CrossFit now. And like 99% of them that are doing them are like, I can't believe the difference in my fighting.
Yeah.
So again, going back to, I think fighting covers all 10 skills. Why do you think those guys are wanting to do CrossFit? Because CrossFit, literally the name of the game is to create the most fit person and cover all 10 skills and not have any weakness as far as fitness or skill. So.
Okay. So, regardless of like what sport you do, if you really want to be a fit person, looking at these 10, you just got to find your weakest link. Your weakest.
Did you say weakest? That's awesome. My weakest link.
Weakest link.
Oh man.
And focus on that.
Yeah. So what I usually do is like, it's funny because usually what you complain about is what you're like the worst at. So like, what do you complain about? What do you not want to fit in your training? Things like that.
The assault bike.
You need to work on it more. One of my coaches, football coaches when I was younger, he's like, whatever you suck at the most is what you should probably be paying the most attention to. Yeah. And I do think this is with life as well. Like if you want to live and be fit into your 90s, like you can't have a weak point because like if you're not coordinated, you're going to slip on some ice, you're going to break a hip, you know, like that's typically what puts people in nursing homes.
Yeah.
You know, so we want to like make sure we cover all of them that if it comes up in everyday life, for some odd reason, you're prepared for it. So.
Yeah. Man, that's like almost backwards from what we're taught from kids. Like as kids, like you're taught focus on your strengths and do what you're good at. And yeah. So it's hard for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, but it's also like, the things that you suck at are hard to focus on because you just want to do the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
So I think that it's also, I think it speaks about humility. It speaks about what kind of individual you are. And I think that it's, that you are a strong person, strong individual if you're working on your weak areas. Yeah. Entrepreneurship, I think, is also a perfect example with that too, of like, you have to always be working on something that you suck at, because like there are so many things that you have to work on if you're the only person that runs a business. And I think fitness, working on that is key with that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. I think that sums up for today.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Let us know if you guys have questions. Post them below.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Love getting this content to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And if you do have questions for us on any of these topics, don't be afraid to comment below. We'll get back to you guys from there.